As most of you already know about the Kiskit India Challenge, it held a few weeks back, organized by Kiskit India. I'll be sharing my experience along with Shubham. Both of us participated in the event, and not only us, almost a lot of people from QCI community participated here. So, although all of you are aware of the problem statement, let me brief about the problem statement first. The problem statement was basically it is everyone know about this data set. Whoever somehow worked on the machine learning, basic machine learning, the MNIST handwritten data set. We were given the data set where it was 6,000 data of handwritten image, digit images, and we have to classify. And but the here's the case was it's not that we have to classify, it is a multi-class classification, but the problem was boiled down up to a single class classification. The data set that was given to us was for only digit 4 and digit 9. We have to classify between them, and somehow it is a little bit tough because due to the similarities in the different handwriting patterns, somehow the 4 or 9 may look similar. Although in human eye it can be similar, let's the model can handle. Let's we can approach the problem how the model can handle this problem of being similar, the similarities in a 4 or 9. So this was the actual problem to classify the data set of digit 4 and 9. So let me brief about what was the main difference of a classical machine learning problem with the quantum machine learning problem. Till the date, IBM provides us only 5 qubit system as open source, and also they have only 64 qubits hardware working in their lab. So although in classical machine learning, we know any machine learning or deep learning data problem demands a lot of data set, but in quantum we can't go with that much of data set. So this is the basic difference. MNIST data set has the 28 plus 28 images, that is 784 pixels for each image. For each image file, there is 784 images. Each have some float values between 0 to 256, 0 to 255. But it is quite next to impossible to feed that data in a quantum computer. So what we do actually reduce the data set using various process is there. But here what they did was using a t-SNE to reduce the dataset from 784 pixels to only three features. As you can see in the slide, this image of 4, what is shown in a 28 plus 28 pixel image, was reduced using t-SNE, and in the right side, that's how it looks when it have only three features, 3 day float values. Now, having only three values, we can't visualize, but while using a quantum computer, it is more feasible to use less number of features for each data point. Now we are given the data set we are given for the competition was already reduced by them. We didn't have to reduce the data set, and plotting the three features in 3 dimension plot, this is how it look with 6,000 data points, and the blue points here shown is the digit 4, and the yellow was the 9. We have to somehow classify these points and come up with a solution to classify the 4 and 9 digits. So the model that we are using in the whole competition was known as VQC. Let me brief about the whole overall workflow of the VQC, that is variational quantum classifier. Basically, a variational quantum classifier comes with mainly three parts. Among them, two is in the quantum part, and the third one is the classical part. The first one is the feature map. So, if you think let me give some example. If you think we are it comparatively with a neural network, we what we do in neural network, feeding some data in front of the in the front node, that is the input layer. But just think, if we have three data features, each is float. So there will be four bit data, and then four bit data means 4 byte data, that is 4 into 4 16. for each image, and for 16 to 3 64 qubits. If we do basis encoding, it will be 64 qubit needed, which is quite next to impossible for right now open source, any open source quantum computer. So what we do is called feature mapping, the well-known way of mapping or encoding classical data to a quantum computer. So in the slide, what is shown in the green box, u theta of x, this is the feature mapping problem, feature mapping part, where we use some rotational gates or any sort of like rotational or u3 or u1 gate with some parameters which need some parameter, and in the parameter part we give the features of the each data. That's how we try to encode the classical data to a quantum computer. The second part of the variational quantum classifier was the variational circuit, which is shown here with w theta, w of theta. So now this you can compare with the parameters of a neural network or the hidden layers of a neural network. In the hidden layer of a neural network, what we do is initializing randomly some parameter values. Then after that, we using the data set, we try to train them and optimize them. Same thing here also. We initialize the circuit with some of the quantum circuit in the variational circuit with some of parameters get initialize them with some random parameters, and after that we optimize that using the data set given to us. Now how the optimization is done, for that we use classical computer. The optimization part is not a part of the quantum computer, we use that with a classical computer. And the classical optimizer is not shown here. This is the third important part of the variational quantum classifier. So basically these three parts we had to work on. Now this is the quantum circuit, an example of quantum circuit, how it looks, or how it used in the computation. In the left side of the pair of barriers, this is the feature map. So as you can see, we started with some rotational rx gate, then rz, and c naught gate sandwiched between two rx gate, and then again ending with rx and rz gate. This all gets a parameter x, either x0 or x1 or x2. So this is the data set. That's how we are encoding the classical data in a quantum computer. X0, x1, x2 is the feature of my each data point. We use those data points as the parameter of the parameter is get, and that's how we encode the data in a quantum computer. And in the right side of the pair of barriers, this is the variational circuit. So there is also rotational gates, but their parameters has nothing to do with the data set given to us. This is totally randomly generated, and after that it is optimized using the classical optimizer. So this starting from w0 to w11, here all these 12 parameters are randomly initialized, and in the course of training the model, we trained it to give the best accuracy for our model. And now, as we have shown here, the second part and third part, that is the variational circuit. It is a variational circuit, second part of the quantum circuit. For this specific problem in the hackathon, as we have seen while working with various circuits, that variational circuit in efficient SU2, it is an inbuilt variational circuit in Qiskit. This works fine either with repetition 2 or repetition 4 in this specific MNIST dataset problem. So in the whole course, in the later on slides, wherever I will be discussing about the feature map. In each case, I have used variational circuit, this one efficient SU2, so I will not repeat it later in the later slides. And the classical optimizer, in the hackathon description also instruction, we are recommended, they recommend us to use these three: Cobila, SPSA, and SLSQP. These three are the recommended, and we especially use the Cobila. I think most of the teams use that because this was giving the highest accuracy among all three. And in terms of max iteration, the class most of the time we have used 50 max iteration, because due to our limitation in hardware, uh, maximum 50 iterations when we are using only 500 100,000 data set. And when we some testing with the circuits, we could use a thousand up to 100 maximum iteration when you are working with only 500 or 250 data points. because due to some limitation of hardware, it's not possible to increase the iteration of above 100. And Qiskit also doesn't have that much of good GPU support. So this is the mathematical representation of how feature map works. Like in the block sphere, as you the can see in the block sphere, each qubit starts with 0, and after that, using feature map circuit with the various rotational gates, we try to put the vector in anywhere of the block sphere. We can do that with any other block sphere, and each qubit represented by the parameter gives some of the insight of the data set. Now let's discuss about some of the approach what we tried. It's not possible to discuss all of the approaches, because in the whole week we tried almost more than 50 or 60 circuit randomly, because it was more of a trial and error method, because the feature map it is still an open research problem, so there is no hard and fast rule to use which feature map we want to use. There is no hard and fast rule to choose that. So we have used give trial and error and used a lot of circuit. I will be trying to I have tried to just sort out some of the main circuit, but gave up the elevation from starting from 70% up to the 80%. And one more thing important, all the accuracies I will be mentioning here, it will is the accuracy shown in the online judge from the HackerRat, not the local machine script that they provided for checking. This was the circuit. This was the feature map that was inbuilt, that known as Z feature map. It had no. It was recommended by them. The Qiskit India, they recommended in the previous notebooks Z feature map. It has only Hadamard gate and some of the U1 gates, but there is no entangling factor, like no CX not or CZ gate. And this Z feature map gave us almost 70.7% accuracy. After that, we tried with the double Z feature map. This is also a inbuilt feature map with that is given in the Qiskit. This introduces along with the previous one Z feature map. This introduces some of the U1 gates sandwiched between the entangling C naught gate. So these somehow increase the accuracy by 4% and come up with a 74% accuracy. After that, till now it was all the inbuilt gates, but the whole hackathon concept was moreover implementing your own customized gate. So after this one, the accuracy becomes somehow constant using various inbuilt feature maps. So we started implementing our own customized custom feature map, and this was the first feature map we used. And also I think this one they also mentioned in their notebook in the previous week. So that also with 1000 data point gave us 74.6% accuracy. So I hope Shubham will describe share some of his insights about his feature maps now.
Sure, sure, sure. Am I audible now? Hello?
Yep,
Yeah,
you're
yeah,
fine.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
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 Yes, Subham.
Yep. So before coming to my feature maps, it's just like I'll firstly cover a bit of my experience and then we'll come back to the technical side of it. So firstly, to be honest, when I joined this hackathon, I wasn't confident whether I'll be able to score or not, and what all questions will be there, because no one is sure about quantum. They don't know 100% of it, and me myself was a beginner, and I still consider myself as a beginner. But I worked with uh, Archit, Abhi, Subodh, Dishmita, and it was pretty awesome to work with them. Uh, firstly, I'll talk about the challenge. Challenge was pretty exciting, and the reason why it was exciting was, and pretty informative as well, because it started with initial first week was on daily challenges. Those daily challenges mainly focused on small concepts, but very important concepts. So they gave a reading material. They had those concepts to for us to read and understand them, and then there was a small kind of a quiz or a small challenge that was given to us to solve. And the best part about this challenge was, I think, was this thing, because you read one time, you look at the challenge, you think both are not related, then you read again, and then you try to figure out, try to make some relation, and then in the end you figure out that yeah, definitely they are related, and you try to you solve the problem. And that was pretty amazing. And yes, someone wants to say something. Someone is not on mute. Okay, yeah. And then then came the final challenge. The final challenge was like, looking at the problems, I was kind of confident, because the data set, to be honest, data set is not that complex. It's a pretty easy data set, but because I thought, if data set is easy, it shouldn't take much time or even much efforts. But that wasn't the case, because as Pinaki pointed out, that getting a generalized or getting a feature map is an open research problem. So that every data, it's just like, getting in machine learning, it's like getting the model right for a particular set of data. So it was something like that. And because a lot of not a lot development has been done, so getting onto a custom feature map was kind of tricky. And on the time constraint, it was like, it was pretty challenging, it was pretty exciting, both at the same time. So for us, our team actually came around 14th. We had an accuracy of 80.8 with a cost of 150. What we tried was a lot of approaches. It's like, we were 5 people in a group. So what I everyone initially, what like Subodh kind of write a small general script for us, saying that there's a script, and try to follow this, and this is how, like, then kind of try to tweak this and all. Then but then later on, everyone ended up doing their own kind of a thing. And what happened was, uh, like, everyone explored different aspects of it. Let's say someone tweaked the feature map, someone tried with different feature maps and tried out, because there are so many possibilities. Like, Qiskit itself gave us, let's say, the two defined feature map, which are the Z and ZZ feature maps. And apart from that, you have the poly feature map, which allows you to kind of create a very general feature map, like, kind of, that kind of exposes us to a lot of possibilities. So being in a team of 5, that helped us, explore a lot of possibilities. And even I wrote kind of a script to tune the hyperparameters. Tune in the sense, even try out different feature maps and tune the hyperparameters. I tried running it, but and I tried it on the full data set, because it's a machine learning problem. And what I felt was, the more data you give, the better it is. But it was time consuming, and after 4 5 tests, when I calculate the time, I realized that it will take around 2 3 years to complete the whole grid search. So again, we had to kind of sit and apply our brains to remove a lot of hyperparameters, saying that, okay, because these are the things which are giving us good accuracy, so let's keep this, let's not change this, and try to tweak some other parameters. What exactly are hyperparameters? Is number of qubits, or number of not number of qubits, number of qubits are fixed, the reputations and entanglement and all those things. And even the trying different optimizers. And so it was pretty good. So the one which kind of worked out for us was on the full data set, was that we used classical optimizer Kubela. Then a variational circuit was real amplitude with repetitions 3, and entanglement was full. And we used a Z feature map with again repetition of 3. So it kind of gave us an accuracy of the one which I just mentioned before. So it was a pretty good experience. And this is the best part of hackathon. So if anyone is not a part, did not take a part in the hackathon, I would recommend that you go, because anyways I'll be sharing this code to my GitHub. I'm working on the documentation. It should be done by tomorrow. So I can ask Sam to add the link in the description of this video. Otherwise, if you are a beginner, then I would definitely recommend this hackathon, because it starts from the basics. You get to explore, you read the textbook, and then you look at the challenge. They are very much related. And like, as soon as you solve, slowly and gradually confidence builds up, and then you are ready for kind of the final challenge. And yeah, it was a pretty awesome experience. It's like, a lot of you team up with awesome people, and then something awesome happens, and it's amazing. So
Lovely.
yeah. Yeah, so that's it from me. Pinaki, you can take forward from here. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
I'm audible, right,
Yeah.
Sam? Yeah, fine. So, as I have already mentioned that there is no hard and fast rule for selecting the custom feature maps. But I tried to sort out some of the feature maps that I have used and some of the insights. If you ask me why that work, it will be hard for me because it can be a research paper on this why that work. But this is that worked. So I will be sharing that. As you can see in the slide, this is a very simple parametric circuit with starting with three RY gate, rotational gate, then RZ, and after that two entangling C naught gate, and completing with ending with a RY and RZ only on the qubit one, and repeating the whole thing two times. So this feature map with thousand data points and gave us 75.2% accuracy, and just substituting the, as you can see, the only change we have made was the entangling gate, that is C naught. In place of C naught we just use CZ gate, and the accuracy just jumped from 75% to 77.3. Rest of everything in the circuit was same. So if you ask me into this, but there is no answer, but it worked. And another thing what I came across is that introducing Hadamard gates also somehow give a good accuracy. As you show the starting, we have see that, saying that they in the inbuilt circuit, in the Z feature map, ZZ double Z feature map, they also use some a Hadamard gate in the initial point. So we also tried introducing some of the Hadamard gates in the initial point, and it really gave good accuracy up to 77.2%. And the final circuit that gave us the top accuracy was this one, starting with RX and RZ gate, but and ending also with RX and RZ, and in between there was two C naught gates sandwiched between two RX gate, but not with repetition 2. With repetition 2, as you can see here, it gave us 78.7% accuracy, and when we go up to here with same circuit with repetition 4, it gave us 80.7% accuracy, and this was the highest from our side. And one more insight is that just using introducing randomly, when we just stuck into a accuracy we tried, and there is no more option among in front of us, we just try randomly giving some parameters gate, but it actually doesn't work. Unnecessary introducing unnecessary gates, it doesn't work at all. As an example, you can see in this parameter feature map what we used, the RX gate, then some entangling factor, and after that ending with RX and RZ gate. In the next circuit, what we did, it was the same as before this part, and before this we just introduced some of the U1 gates sandwiched between some C naught gate. As you can see, the rest of the thing is same, just we introduce some of the C naught gate and U1 gate sandwiched between them. The accuracy from 78.7% just dropped to 75.2%. So one more insight is that just using unnecessary gates without knowing what it is doing. Yeah, I know that it is a trial and error, but still using unnecessary gate doesn't always give us good accuracy. And most of the time we have seen that using RX, RY, RZ gate work fine rather than using U1, U2 or U3 gates. And yeah, this one was the circuit that I mentioned also before, that gave us the highest accuracy, 80.7%, according to online judge. And special mention, this was not from our team. This was the team, the person, I think he was not in a team, a single person from IIT Guwahati, undergraduate student. He topped the hackathon, and this was his circuit. Now, most of the hackathon, someone who just think out of the box, like some unique from other, he come with a different solution, and he got the top position. So here also in the same case, if you see in the circuit, let me share my screen once. And this was, yeah, this was his circuit. What he did, he didn't use more than four gates in the whole circuit. In the feature map, he only used three circuit. In the qubit 0, there was only a RY gate. In the qubit 1 and qubit 2, only one RY gate was there. And in the variational circuit, if you see there here, the in the variational circuit, only in qubit 0 there was a ry gate, and in rest of the two there was no gate at all. So what he did, he have also explained the approach. uh, they have given us three data in features in each data point, x0, x1, x2, but he didn't limit himself in that. He increased the data point, like from x0, x1, x2, he introduced some higher degree, like x1 square, x2 square, x1 into x2, like that, up to 4 degree or 5 degree. And each point there has some coefficients like a1 x0, a0 x0, a1 x1, a2 x2, then a3 x1 x2, a4 x1 square, and all those a1 to an. He tried to optimize those values using some python script, some machine learning concept. He tried to optimize those, and from there he came up with the whole thing. If you see here, if you can see here, the whole thing, it is the parameter, only the just the parameter of the ROI gate. So he came up with a three set of parameters starting from a0 to an, three set of parameters, and all three set he gave to three different qubits, and all three qubits were totally independent. There were no entanglement between them. As you can see, QCRY with zero number qubit, these are the whole thing was his parameter, and same for first qubit and the second qubit. And as I mentioned also before, that the variational circuit was nothing but just a single ROI gate given on the zeroth qubit, and there is nothing at all in the first and second qubit. With this, he came up with 83.2% accuracy. So this was something no one actually thought about. Just optimizing, not going to the optimization of the quantum circuit, but optimizing the parameter of the feature map, so that it can give some good accuracy. And totally most of the part he have done with the classical computation, but this gave him 83.2% accuracy, and he got the top position. It was really something unique that no one has thought about, but he came up with this idea. And finally, what is the main tagline of Kiskit India Challenge? The best way to learn is by doing. It was really the case for me, because before this hackathon, I didn't have any idea about VQC, variational quantum circuit. I didn't know about that. I just worked with some gradient descent problem in QML using Penland. So after this, I have well enough knowledge, at least to describe among some with you all how VQC works. So the hackathon experience in terms of learning was really great from my side, and that's all from my side. Thank you, everyone. I will conclude here.
Awesome. Great that you guys went back and looked at what this guy has done. Like, were you guys able to implement what he has done as well?
Sorry, Sam.
The winner, so whatever
Yeah.
circuit modification that he used, like, were we able to replicate the same?
Yeah, this is the thing I was also looking into. This was
Ah,
also it. I will try to share the link.
ah,
Not mine. He have also shared that. This
okay,
is the notebook that was the main hackathon problem, and this was a Python script that
okay.
he tried used to optimize the whole parameter. The main concept that was unique from others. So I will try to share the link in the chat or in the.
Yeah, you can just send it to me, and then like when we publish the video, we'll put it in the description as well.
Yeah, fine. I will send that. I will share that with you.
Yeah.
It will be really good inside, and also the whole GitHub from the repository with all of the submission of top 10 teams. I think they
Mhm.
have published one. I will share the link.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome. Great.
fine. Thank you.
Lovely. Great job, guys.